Hello, everyone. This is Go After Your Passion Live, and I'd like to thank everyone for showing up, everyone who gets to see this on the replay too, because I do have friends around the world that check this out. Go After Your Passion Live is a conversation with people that I know or I know nothing about so that I can find out more about their passion, and that's what draws me to them. Tonight's kind of special for me because it is actually one of my childhood friends who I went to school with, we've gone separate ways, but we do, thank you, Internet, connect a little bit on the Internet and follow each other. So I'd like to say hello and thank you, Cathy Tutty, for joining me tonight.
Thank you, Theresa. It's great to be with you. I was thinking about top 16 in concert choir and singing, so that was a lot of passion then too.
Oh yes, and the white knuckle of our director to get us to hit those notes, and yeah, that's definitely a passionate kind of guy. Cathy and I went to grade school. We didn't go to junior high together because we lived on either side of town, but then we went to high school together. And Cathy and I were in choir, and choir was like just an amazing thing that we did, and it showed us a lot of independence, and they had the top 16 singers. I was only part of it for my senior year, but were you in for more than your senior, Cathy?
Yeah, I was an alternate as a sophomore and part of it for junior and senior year.
I was an alternate, I think, when I was a junior, but I got in when I was a senior. And we got to travel and sing. There was 8 girls, 8 guys, altos, sopranos, basses, and tenors. And it was wild. Yep. It was fun. Yep. But I think that was the passion at that time because I really wanted to be a performer. And everybody said, "Oh, what are you going to be when you grow up?" And I said, "Oh, I want to be a lawyer." And then I look at this and I'm looking at you, Cathy, and I'm like, what are you when you're grown up?
That's funny.
Yeah. I always said that, I want to be a lawyer, or, I was in Medical Explorers. I was very active in that, and never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would be in medicine. But I was a disc jockey. I guess that kind of feeded a passion and a performance. But we kind of separated ways a bit, especially at college. So tell me a little bit about where that took you.
So I had the good fortune at St. Mary College in Leavenworth, Kansas. It was run by the Sisters of Charity of Leavenworth. And at the time, I was the oldest of 8. So any scholarship was going to be a welcome addition to what my financial aid package could be at the time. I got a degree in English there and a couple of minors. I minored in sociology, psychology, physical education, and internships. Wow. I acted in plays, I sang, I did all kinds of things that had me out in front of me. If you're the old, you have to be able to speak in public to have somebody pass potatoes at dinner. So it was always fun. I worked for 3 years as a college admissions counselor for St. Mary, and then went to law school. Graduated from Creighton in Omaha, Creighton University, Jesuit school. Had a great time there, and practiced law for a bit off and on throughout the intervening years. And recently became certified as a laughter yoga teacher and participate with transformational education through a company called Landmark Worldwide. I also did programs with the Rapport Leadership Institute, walk across hot coals and bending rebar and doing all those things that, a kid from Butte probably didn't even think about doing, let alone have the opportunity to do. So it's been fun.
We might have watched it on television because that was our outlet when we were up in Montana.
That's true. That we might have watched it on television.
All right. And so
I never wanted to be there. It's kind of funny that you wanted to be one and I ended up being one.
Oh yeah, I told everybody I was, and then my dad was kind of disappointed. And my uncle was a lawyer, and I thought he was pretty cool, so I told everybody I was going to be a lawyer. But my dad was a little disappointed, but he said, "Okay, as long as you're not one of them." And so,
That's great.
The radio bug bit me though really hard, and until my dad said, "When are you going to get a real job?" It was like, okay, okay. So, a college a little later for me, but,
Yeah.
Following I think entertaining, I think being out there is one of my passions. And I
Yep.
think taking care of people is
Yeah.
another. So this is
Yeah.
really something that I hope to explore a little bit more. And one of my things online is like stress reduction and calming chaos. And
Yes.
when I was just starting this, I saw that you were having groups together with laugh yoga. One
Yep.
of my passions, I think, in this is you have to learn to laugh. You have to learn
Yeah.
to take your mind out of where you are. So everybody was like, "Oh, laugh yoga, what's that?" So I thought, hey, what better to get you on and talk to you and ask you. I don't know what laugh yoga is, but I'm very intrigued about it. So what is it?
So laughter yoga is actually a practice that was created by Dr. Madan Kataria. He's obviously an Indian from India. His wife was a yoga teacher, and he's a doctor. And what he noticed was that he was trying to make his patients laugh. And he was getting a group of people together in the mornings, and they were telling jokes. And after a while, jokes aren't funny anymore. You can just say, number three, and they're, oh yeah, number three, ha ha ha. So he was talking with his wife about it, and she said, really laughing is nothing more than, so why not look into other ways that you can get people to do some breathing? So they started creating these exercises, and then he's done a lot of studies. Laughter yoga has been around a little over 20 years. And what they've discovered is your body doesn't know the difference between fake laughter and real laughter. So if you do exercises and you say, hello, ha, 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 and you're looking at someone else who's doing the same thing, then you're going to be laughing. And your body will start to process the oxygen differently. It'll develop enzymes in your brain differently. And it creates all kinds of things that medicinal kinds of things might not necessarily support. It has you exhale in a way that you don't normally exhale. Because if you notice, when you laugh, all that air goes out of your lungs, and you take deeper breaths. And if you look at kids, the resiliency of kids is pretty phenomenal. What they've found is that kids laugh, I can't remember the exact numbers, but a kid under the age of 10 laughs up to 20 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
An adult might laugh 5 times a day. It's just not okay for us to laugh. So what Dr. Kataria did was create these exercises so that no matter what you're doing, you can actually stop the action and do a laughter exercise. And they've started to, in many businesses and in all the medical facilities in India, they have that practice. There are a number of medical facilities in the United States that have started implementing laughter yoga as part of their care plan. So it's starting to gain the kind of notoriety that it deserves, in my opinion. And if you want to go back to where maybe it started for me, Norman Cousins wrote a book called Anatomy of an Illness. And in Anatomy of an Illness, he talks about how he was diagnosed with something, and people told him to do something fun. And so he went and got movies that were, I don't know, Three Stooges or whatever it was. And he watched movies that made him laugh and started to shift what his body was doing. So if we can find ways to laugh for any reason or no reason. When I first met Dr. Kataria, it was during the certification process, and he had just arrived from India. And he came in and sat down with us, and he said, I just arrived after a 23-hour flight. And they lost my luggage. And I haven't slept since Thursday, and it's Saturday. And I'm hungry, and now I'm going to go to bed. Most of us, if we had those circumstances, might have had a little different response to it. But because he's so ingrained in the laughter yoga, it was easy for him to say, this is what I'm dealing with right now. Ha, 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 ha. Your body doesn't know the difference, so your body treats that like you're laughing. So it's pretty amazing stuff.
I think it's such a great health thing too, because I think sometimes when we're in these really stressful situations, and I know if we were in a stressful situation together, we'd look at each other and crack up. You know,
Yeah.
it's the giggle factor or the laugh factor. So
Yeah.
in a way, and it makes you feel a little better. I
Yeah.
mean, you may be embarrassed about it, but you giggle in inopportune moments. And I just think
Yeah.
it's such a great thing to be able just to laugh or, to find out his concept. Hey, my life, kind of sucked today. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yep.
Because what I think of a lot of times is you just have to get your head out of where you're at for a while.
Yeah.
You just have to fight back, so to speak, because,
Yeah.
stress can make you sick. And
Oh, yeah.
so I kind of, when we were doing that and I saw you do that and you had a group of people and everything, I was just like, oh, I wish I was back home. I could do
Yeah.
this. I could learn more about it.
I'm sure there are laughter yoga teachers in the Denver area.
I think I just have to put my feelers out there somewhere and then join
there
a
you
group.
go.
Learn a little
Who's
more.
the laughter yoga teacher?
All right.
Well, and the other thing you just mentioned is doing things for other people. And I think, in the town that we were raised, that's just how you were. You just did things for other people. If something happened, everybody just rallied around whoever something happened to. And so one of the ways that I balanced, which can be very stressful for me, with having my life work is by contributing and making a difference. So when I was working in Washington, D.C., I was a federal prosecutor prosecuting crimes that happened inside prison. And on the weekends, I was a youth minister for my parish. Here, I do a lot of family law, but I also participate with Kiwanis, which is an international service organization of volunteers that impact and make a difference for children. So I get to do things that I know are making a difference for kids and know are impacting. Like right now, we're working on playgrounds and evaluating all the playgrounds in Butte and finding what we can do to improve the playground equipment and have inclusive playgrounds and get more kids out playing outside. You'll be surprised to know that there are 25 playgrounds in Butte. We've got 30,000 people and 25 playgrounds. So it's kind of a fun deal because I actually get to do a lot of things that make a difference for people to keep the balance, from the stressful stuff that happens day in, day out. Not too many people go to their lawyer because things are going really well.
No, I think you have to do that to pay the bills, and then you've got the passion that will, be the no work.
Yeah.
Work.
Yep. Yep.
And very supportive of the people in your hometown with the Kiwanis and the projects. So how did you get started with them, or was it just something you fell into?
Well, when I was working as a college admissions counselor, I got involved with the JCs and have always wanted to participate in some sort of group. So when I came back to Montana and was starting to work again, I actually looked for a club and asked to join. I became the vice president of the club before they took my membership application.
Ooh.
And I've already started to I've done training on a both local, district, and international level. I love to get groups of people together and just brainstorm ways that you can impact things. And how can you take what you're really committed to, create a plan for it, and then identify who's best to do which part of the plan so that you fulfill it from beginning to end. When it comes to paperwork, I'm not the person you want. I can come up with great ideas. I can facilitate the conversation, but somebody else needs to put it down on paper because I get frustrated and bored with it. But there are people who love to put it down on paper and do the typing. So identifying which person's the best for which thing and then making the plan work has it go from beginning to end so that two things happen. One is that people get to use their gifts. And there's nothing people want more than to be able to contribute. And if you're asking me to contribute something I don't know how to do, I'm going to be frustrated. But if you're trying to do something somebody else can do, you're creating frustration for them. And two is that, and I identified this when I was really sick. Illness is I, wellness is we. If you look at those two words, I, illness, we, wellness. So if I'm working with others, my chances and my opportunity for being well are greatly expanded than from when I'm trying to do something all by myself.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. That. I mean, I also was, Cathy and I were both in high school together and on the speech and debate team. So our gift of gab is huge. And then I was looking on your bio a little bit, and it said that you are a speaker. And I saw one of your your speeches in the big green dress when you were at a convention. And
the green dress.
And how's that going?
It's the thing that I'm going to be doing within the next 6 months. I'm not going to be practicing law. I've stopped taking cases as much as I possibly can. I'm still taking just enough to pay the bills. And the things that you would do, whether you got paid for them or not, that's what doing those kinds of presentations is like for me. That's what getting together a group. I did I call them summits, because in Butte, we don't retreat. There's no backing down. You just keep climbing. It's all an exploration, right? So I do summits. So I had a summit with 5 women from a salon. It was at Georgetown Lake, which we both know and love, right? We went up on a Saturday morning. We left on Sunday at noon. And between the time we got there and the time we left, we just created all kinds of opportunities and accesses for them to be able to work together. They're all independent contractors working in the same place. So they're all working together. They're creating job plans. But like I said before, who's the best person to do this? Who's the best person to do this? So that everybody gets to contribute. But also, what's our why for doing it? Why do we even want to work together? Because if you can identify your why, like my why is because I want to do, what I want to do is anything that's going to make a difference for people who make a difference. So if I can find people who are committed to making a difference, I'm going to get up and do that in the morning no matter what. How I know it's my passion is I would do it for free. And I can do it almost without thinking, because it's so much just the nature of the gifts that I've been given and blessed with. And the more grateful I am for those gifts, the easier it is to make those contributions.
And I really think some people think, oh, it's so difficult. But when you're doing something like that and you enjoy it so much, you get the payback, instant payback. You're up there and you see the faces, you get reaction, and it's not that difficult for the right kind of person.
Yeah, no, it's a blast.
And
it's a blast.
And you were at a Kiwanis convention the speech that I saw?
No, the one that you saw was at the Conference for Global Transformation, which is sponsored by Landmark Worldwide.
Okay. And
but I also did training for club leadership, so presidents, and there were roughly 250 people there. I'd been a member of Kiwanis at that point for 4 years, and there were people in the room who'd been members of Kiwanis for 50 years who came up and thanked me for the training and said it was the best that they'd ever been to, and they'd been around for that long.
Right.
I had a great time.
So if you were back in your 20s, what would you tell yourself back then? Because now you have this experience. If you could tell your 20-year-old Cathy what you know now, are there a couple of things that you'd like to tell her?
Oh, yeah. When I was 20, I graduated from college. And even still, even today, at not 20, I still think that my job is to be the oldest and set a good example and do what people expect me to do. And because of that, I've made some decisions. I'll call them decisions, not choices, because I killed off the other opportunities. I made decisions based on what I thought others wanted me to do. And if I could go back and talk to myself, I'd say, find what you love and go do that, and don't look back. Because what I love is being able to interact with people, present, teach, participate, facilitate, collaborate, and the kinds of impacts that I can make there are the ones that are heart fulfilling to me.
So has this current passion of yours changed you from
Oh, yeah.
when you were 20 years old and you thought you knew what you were going to do, and now we're more than 20 years old? And how is that, has your passion changed that?
Oh, yeah. I think a couple things happened. One of the things that happened to kind of temper who I was really, I actually enjoyed being a prosecutor. I liked the fight. I liked being able to, put people away. And there really was a drivenness, like a Jack McCoy on Law and Order kind of, I'm going to get him. I got really sick and I was unable to work for a number of years. And I think during that process, I actually started to see that, life is pretty dang short. And the opportunities that I have to do something that will make a difference or not are limited to right now, today. And if what I'm about is figuring out a way to put somebody in prison, then yes, on one level, that keeps the streets safe and it does whatever it does there. But as far as being doing something that's going to make a lasting difference for the people that I'm interacting with and for me, it doesn't fulfill that. So I think that tempered me into a degree of empathy that I didn't have before. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps was kind of engraved on the walls in our houses, right?
Oh, yeah.
And two, having the ability to contribute not just to others, but to myself by doing what mattered to me is probably the greatest gift that I got.
Well, you did talk a little bit about what the future holds. Can you elaborate a little bit on how we're going to see you next?
Yeah, I'm working on a program that'll be available on the website. Thank you for posting that link. That will give people the opportunity to work with me either in groups or individually. And I have, probably about 30 years of experience working with groups, speaking in front of groups. I don't even have to count speech and debate. I could give you more. That would take us more years back, right? But ways for you to work in particular with groups that have some mission that they're out to accomplish, and how to facilitate that to get everybody on the same page, and two, utilizing their gifts in the places that make the most sense. There's also community building opportunities that are going to be available. I'm working with a couple of groups here in Butte, working toward facilitating those groups to take what their commitment and mission is and put it in language that everybody can understand. If medical people start to talk about what they want to do, they use medical language. That doesn't communicate to the guy that works at Ace Hardware or the barista at Starbucks. So how do we put that in language that everybody can get behind and fulfill on what we want? So those are the kinds of things that you're going to be seeing. I'm also working on a couple of books, but way too much to talk about in the books for right now. One of them is really about what is it about the community that we have here and that we grew up in Butte that allows for the kinds of transformational differences that people make in Butte.
Oh, when we're thinking about a class reunion, and when I think about the people that I'm in contact with, I think sometimes the internet has spoiled a reunion in a way because you kind of keep up to date with more people than you normally would. But it's fun because they're in so many different areas, and we're so diverse. Even though we're not living in our hometown, all of us, we're so diverse, and we've done so many different things.
Yeah.
And the people that I would think were the least likely to do blah, blah, blah are doing it. And I'm thinking, oh, this is really cool. So
Yeah.
it's really cool how, I think a lot of times pulling us up by our bootstraps, or the work ethic that we had in our town.
Yeah. Yep.
We're a union town, and
Yep.
we beholden to the union to keep our job, and so
Yep.
many people now have that's gone away, but I think
Yeah.
the inner strength hasn't.
No,
So
not at all. So
Well,
hopefully that means you'll come to the reunion.
well, like I told you, I have the time requested. I still have a
Yeah.
job, but I hope not to have a
Yeah.
job someday.
I got you.
A little lighthearted stuff is like, what's your favorite time of day that's inspirational to you, that you get great ideas, or is it throughout the day?
Usually it's right before I go to sleep. So I keep a notebook next to my bed so I can write it down and not be, trying to remember it all night. Also when I'm driving, because my first job was in college admissions, so I was just kind of, in the car by myself all the time, and there wasn't Sirius XM radio then. So I get a lot of ideas when I'm driving, and I love driving. So that's probably one of the best.
And if people
And I
are
drive a
familiar,
lot.
if people are familiar with Montana, it does
Yeah.
take all day to drive across it east to west.
Yes,
It's
it does.
It's not a couple hours here, a couple hours there in traffic,
No.
like I am to work and back here. It's
Right.
wide open spaces, and now we have a speed limit again, so it's not as much fun
Right.
driving on the highway. But Montana at one time
Takes about an hour. It takes about an hour and 15 minutes to get to Bozeman. There's lots of good thinking that can happen between here and Bozeman.
Oh, sure, I'm sure. And since we are music people,
Yes.
do you have? And that's another big thing that I have is, if you need a little break, turn some music
yeah.
on. And
Yep.
what's inspiration for you? Is it rock and roll? Is it classical? Does it depend on the situation?
It totally depends on the situation. One of my favorite performers right now is Andy Grammer. He's got some really great songs. The one that kept popping up today is "Good to Be Alive."
Mm-hmm.
It's good to be
It
alive
is.
right about now.
It is.
I find a lot of great stuff in soundtracks. Music from like the hero song from almost any Disney movie, or the heroine song. Any song that tells a story. I grew up listening to Irish music. 3 kinds of music: Irish, country, and Western. So
Yeah.
those are pretty much my my music backgrounds. But I love a little James Taylor. I love Billy Joel is one of my favorites. Some of his later stuff is really inspirational. 2,000 Years is a really great song to crank.
A lot of them, I think, are really like, it just takes you back to a place. They're very, for lack of a better term, they really make you think
Yep.
into
Definitely.
places where you haven't thought of in a while.
And when I'm going to sleep, I'll put on a little Native American flute, Carlos Nakai, or maybe George Winston piano. That
Now-
helps me. And I do always play something when I'm going to sleep. So
People do see right behind you your little bear and tree, and you have a nickname for your apartment.
that's a lamp, even.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, if you look up over my shoulder over the door there, I call this my Irish Mountain Lodge retreat. It's a 1,000 square foot apartment in a warehouse in the middle of downtown Butte. So I have the wall of the bank and the bank drive-through and a retaining wall in the alley out my windows. But in here, it's my
I mean, I remember you nicknaming your apartment, and it was
Yeah.
just so cool. And you also, right outside your window, sometimes do some fantastic art.
Yeah, I used to get some great icicles there. Still get some great icicles in other places, not directly out my window because they changed the drain. If you remember the monster icicle that was there, it actually finally broke the drain off the wall. But yeah, I think what you can see in the in-between spaces is fascinating. And so I always look for, what can I find in an icicle that's kind of fun to capture, and have found some pretty cool pictures. Actually had people pay money for them.
Well, I was going to say, you actually, in your photography, have had a show.
Yes, I have.
Come see this. So is that like a little branch in your passion?
Well, so that thing about finding a team, I have no idea how to set that up so that it can be sold online. So it's finding a person who's willing to be my person to do that kind of stuff. So, if there's somebody out there who wants to figure that out, finding that person.
Takes a village for a lot of stuff. And when I saw that you had a show, it was so amazing. And the pictures, it doesn't do it justice for me to see them. I mean, you got to see them in person, and everybody is in awe when they do see these pictures.
They're pretty cool. Yeah, I was invited to show the icicle pictures at the physical therapy offices at St. James, actually, for the first art walk a couple of years ago. It was very cool.
That's cool. Well, Cathy, I really want to thank you for just joining us and talking about, things that you're passionate about and how you can follow these things. And to wrap up, if you have some advice for anybody out there that isn't sure what their passion is, knows that there's something better out there for them, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to start by writing down words that make them excited, things that they've done that they're really proud of, things that they love to do, and what they would do no matter what, whether they got paid for it or not. If God came to you and said, I want you to be ridiculously happy, what would you be doing?
And then go do it.
And then go do it. Do that. Because that's all your mom ever wanted anyway, was for you to be ridiculously happy.
That's right. Cathy, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. This has been...
Thank you, Theresa.
Go After Your Passion Live. And we'll see you again next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock with another inspirational person. CathyTutty.com. We had across the bottom there. You can probably contact her, say hi. If you have questions, let me know. TheresaCrowley.com. On my website, you can check it out, make comments. And I just want to thank you all for joining us because, no matter how big the world is, it's still kind of small and intimate, and we can touch each other's lives. Thanks,
awesome.
Kath.